Welcome to the Eyes Wide Open Life podcast, the show where we thread the needle between science and mysticism with the dexterous fingers of open-hearted philosophy and the thread of open-minded reason, where we explore questions about life, consciousness, relationships, even the causes of suffering and regret as individuals and as a society, and all that we can do about that while honoring the scientific method and the sense of the sacred we're all looking for. Remembering sacred does not need to have anything to do with this shared idea about God or ideology or any kind of spiritual whimsy. It's simply the answered wish to find something deep, beautiful, and truly awe-inspiring about this life, and our very private sense of belonging and gratitude we encounter when we make such a discovery. This episode is a direct and vulnerable window onto a call, a revision week, between myself and the members of the Alchemy program. The episode, as you'll hear, is a live recording of the program in action, and there's a bit of background noise. I'm unselfconsciously strumming on the desk or playing with a paperclip, but the message is so relevant and poignant. A few of the members reached out to me, and the members of the current working group, and they told me to encourage me to release this on the podcast. The Alchemy program is a 6-part program that runs until mid-June. It's based on a combination of agile principles and the various insights and philosophies which I apply in my own life and I teach other people in general. It's all of that understanding and experience and insight synthesized and distilled into a set of practices and approaches for how to get after our life of meaning within the scope of a year. So I had reached the end of 2021, quite burnt out actually, and I sat down just before the new year to work out where I'd gone wrong with all of this information and insight and understanding that I have, and what I would need to do to never be in that situation or that position again. Now, I don't believe in resolutions or ambitions. I believe in actualization and integration. I believe in being and becoming. This sort of idea of meeting the road along the way. And I very much believe in leadership and this idea of as soon as you know better, you do better, and you don't spend energy on guilt and shame. You come from love, not from fear. And I believe in practicing stillness and mindfulness. So I distilled all of this and all of my other takes on the philosophy of living a fulfilled and skillful human life, all my understanding of human behavior, biology, metabolism, etc., all of my spiritual sensibilities. And I worked out how to follow that with authenticity and how to teach other people how to do that. The result was the Alchemy program. The context to help orientate a listener to what you're about to hear is that the Alchemy program logo is a honeycomb hexagon, a 6-sided cell, and each side represents one of the core focuses. Make space, invest well, honor the cycles, transmute energy and story, receive more to give more, and finally live my purpose. And the results so far have been quite phenomenal, actually. The chaos and drama and overspend of energy has been replaced by a steady cadence, enough time for everything, a clear focus on short and near-term objectives, a good prioritization of those objectives to reduce regret, and a misspend of time and energy, and overall a total paradigm shift. The Alchemy program describes the what we need to do, the way we need to do it, the how and why it works, and the guidance on when to invest energy, when to go with the flow, and when to withdraw. The audio for this episode is the latest fortnightly call with the participants, and it's a summary of pretty much everything we've covered to date and everything we've been practicing along the way, wrapped up in one clean lesson which provides clarity, context, and inspiration for how to engineer a life of meaning and fulfillment. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. We are back for, I believe, week 16. So we're really, really close to the end now. What I wanted to do today was have a little bit of a refresh of the points on the hexagon and refresh the intentions and refresh what it is that we're doing here. It's easy to lose track of the way by the time you hit May. We're 5 months in to a year. All of our best laid plans have either gone awry or other new demands have come along. The big goals that we thought were things that we wanted to do, our lives have changed. Relationships we thought we wanted to crush kind of resolved themselves. Things which we thought were going to be really big conundrums, we've either grown past or grown out of. And it's hard following a program like this when you have to dig inside yourself for motivation and for persistence and consistency. And I mean, there's, I think, 15 people on this program. And it's some folks we don't get to see because of the time zone they're in. It's just too difficult, given the lifestyles that they have and the time zones that they're in. And there's this principle which I talk about from time to time. It's called entrainment. And what entrainment is if you look at fireflies in the forest, in the dark, in the beginning, when the sun sets, they all start blinking randomly, and it's absolutely random. There's no pattern, there's no cohesion. If you set 10 metronomes on a table and you start them in any order, they'll just, the one's doing this and the other one's doing that, and they're not synchronized. But given enough cycles, it's this amazing phenomenon. After a while, within, I'd say, a minute or so, they're all tick-tocking in perfect unison. And it's the same with the fireflies. If you look later on, they're all doing this. And there might be a variation of the signal on that side of the forest, but where it's localized, where you can look at, they're all kind of doing this in unison. And that's called entrainment. It's a natural phenomenon. It happens in nature and it happens in human psychology. And not only is that the only way that we can adopt behaviors in a healthy way, if we have to be the source of that entrainment, we have to find something to entrain to. And such a thing doesn't exist in the cycles that we observe, in the habits that we're trying to build, in the things that we're trying to learn. In fact, not only does something not easily and obviously exist, the opposite powerfully exists. We have a 9-to-5 work cycle that we've invented. We have a 5-day working week. We have these arbitrary celebrations like Easter and Christmas and Mother's Day. And they're generally beautiful ideas, but let's be honest, they're hugely commercialized. And the reason that we know about them at all is because of the advertising and the popularization and the commercial trade-off that they have. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist. Maybe a few would exist, like Day of the Dead or Thanksgiving. But these also only come around once a year, and you can't really entrain a value of connection or cohesion or positive change in your here by something that happens only once. And the other forms of entrainment is our daily news cycle. The algorithms on Instagram and Facebook, they're refreshing on a rate of like hours, and they keep us locked in these platforms because we're always looking to see what's new on the feed. So the things that we could use to entrain us positively for the kind of things we're trying to bring about in our lives, there is nothing, and we have to go hunt inside of ourselves for this motivation and the discipline, and it's hard to find. It's hard to find. And not only that, we're doing this against the groundswell, this tide coming the other way of all the chaos and all the discord and all the distraction and all the noise in the world, which is exactly what caused us to be ill in the first place. Remember, I often say there was a Indian teacher, and his name was Jiddu Krishnamurti. And one of his famous quotes is, "It's no sign of good health to be well adjusted in a profoundly sick environment." And what we have in 2022 is a profoundly sick environment. So we can find respite by going to healthy environments and trying to get some of that conscious imprint to change the natural metronome. But as soon as we re-immerse ourselves, or like Chris did, Chris took himself out for 10 days to go to a retreat. And then what you're doing effectively is you're making space so that you can entrain in this new rhythm, daily rhythm. You know, you get up at a certain time, have breakfast at a certain time, meditate at a certain time, have lunch at a certain, and then this cadence really draws you in and helps you and your energetic system entrain to all of this. It turns out that all these ways that we were taught, beautiful ways, from Hinduism, from Buddhism, different forms of Buddhism like Zen, and their earlier predecessor, which is Taoism, these are wonderful modalities of finding mindfulness. But it's all fine if you're living a monastic life, because then they can set their own rhythms and their own cadences, and everybody becomes entrained. But for the rest of us that are trying to live our lives, it's not working. It's not working, and we know it's not working, because otherwise we would have a lot more Buddhas, because there's nothing wrong with Buddhism. It works. It absolutely works. If you stick to it, it works. The problem is sticking to it. The problem is carrying the whole load of responsibility all by yourself, the understanding, the practice, the repetition, the adherence, the entrainment. What do we do? What do we do? So one of the things I did from a place of goodwill in the beginning of the year is I created the Alchemy program. I realized fundamentally what the problem was. There's too much noise. We need to create space. I'm trying to do too many things at once. Number two, I need to make sure I'm investing well, because I do have some time, I do have some energy, I do have some attention. And it's really down to how I spend those three things. And then I need to do things regularly and frequently and repeatedly, because that's the nature of practice. Practice is cyclic repetition and doing it again and again, and not trying to do things in the wrong times. You know, try to do things at, like, for example, the right time of day. There's a right time to try and meditate. There's a harder time to meditate. Sure, you can meditate any time of day, or you can work out any time of day. But given your metabolism and your sleep-waking cycle, there are better and worse times to try and do this. And honoring the cycles gives us a chance of investing more, investing better. And then we really come to it, the crux of this effort. Because the receiving more to give more and the living my purpose is really the reward that we're trying to reap. Really, if we're honest with ourselves, right? It's the reason we made space. It's the reason we invested. It's the reason we honored the cycles. So the breaking point of this whole exercise is transmuting energy into story. Now, here's the conundrum that's dawned on me recently. When we practice meditation, the way it gets taught, and that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us or anything wrong with meditation, the way that it gets taught is that, and just think about this for a second, there is still the secret position that you hold very privately, that the way that you're sitting and how well you're doing it's as if something in the universe is invigilating you, is watching your form and your stance and your achievements, and is issuing on some secret register kind of gold stars of merit, that if you get enough gold stars, this is now what will give you the next level of attainment, the next level of insight. We secretly are doing that. And many people, when they practice yoga, they're secretly doing that too. They want to get the posture right. They want to be able to hold the posture. They want to be able to. And what we're doing invariably is we're carrying a different layer of story. And what we're not connecting with is just the energy, just the sense of being once story has been completely removed. Story is very insidious, very insidious. It's very hard to pick up. It takes, in fact, the work that I do with people rarely is to point out the fiction in their own story. I'm not a magician. I'm not like a trained psychologist. I don't need to be, because it's always the same kind of story, and it's always the same kind of result. Always, 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 always. All of our habits, all of our 90% of our discomfort is story we're telling ourselves about a feeling that we're having. And we don't even have the presence of mind to challenge the story and say, is that even real? Is that really what's happening? Now, what we have here is this consciousness that we're trying to expand, and we're trying to, employ it in such a way that we can adapt it to our efforts and our habits and all the rest of it, so we can get these better results out of life. We want to be happy. We want to be fulfilled. We want to have minimal regret when we get to the end of a day, the end of a year, the end of a week, a month, a project, a relationship, a holiday. And we spend a lot of time wondering, what if? Spending a lot of time in FOMO, spending a lot of time listening to the story. And the story is always one of, what should I be doing? What should I be solving? What should I be worrying about? What should I have done? What could have happened? What might have been? And all of these things really are taking little bits of our attention, little bits of our energy, and little bits of our time, and siphoning them away from the present moment, looking to a past that we cannot change, and trying to look around the corner of a future, like looking through a rolled up hosepipe. You can't see out the other end. It's curved. You don't know. And not only is it curved, it junctions into every conceivable direction. And all of your what ifs, what might have been, actually there's 1,000 iterations of those as well. And the nature of humankind is, if somebody does something, let's say they've gone for a run and they're trying to beat a certain time, and they get to a path and there's a tree fallen over in the path, and on the one side is the lake and the other side is the fence. Their choice is to go and sort of clump through a little bit of the mud of the lake, maybe get their shoes wet and then run with sloshy feet, or to climb over this very cumbersome thing and risk scratching themselves on one of the branches, or try to sneak past the fence and snag themselves on the rusty fence. There's no easy answer, but there's a couple of choices. Even going over, there's a couple of choices. They can like vault it, or they can bum scoot and swing over. Now, this is where human nature comes in. Let's say, for example, we have a sliding doors moment. We've got Chris has gone for a run, and we've got Chris 1, Chris 2, Chris 3, Chris 4. We've got an infinite number of Chris's, and we can just keep resetting Chris always back to the start point. In 1, he vaults over, scratches his leg, snags his shoelace, trips over, scratches his elbow, and has to dust himself off, check to see if anything's broken, and he gets back later and he loses time, or he runs with some discomfort and loses time. In version 2, he tries to go past the fence, or he bump scoots over slowly and invariably loses time. He was busy doing a personal best. In version 3, he goes through the lake and gets not through the lake, just through the mud on the edge of the lake and gets a wet foot. And then he sloshes uncomfortably and gets a blister. In every single one of those scenarios, there's some trade-off, there's some negative, there's something that happened that could perhaps have been avoided if something else had been done. When we look back over all the 5 Chris's, we can say, yeah, man, like fucking pick one, right? Because everything's going to have some kind of cost somewhere along the line. Some greater, some smaller, you don't know. So stop worrying about it. Pick one and just fucking do it and get it done. But human nature, where it really kicks in, is later on when Chris looks at his watch and he wants to have done a personal best. He thinks to himself, I didn't do my personal best. He doesn't say, I didn't do my personal best because there was life got in the way. C'est la vie. He always says, I didn't do my personal best because I was thrown a choice and maybe I chose the wrong one. Maybe it was me. Maybe I could have done something different. And we can't forgive ourselves. So we sit and we chew over, oh man, fuck, I should have done this. Now, next time, this is what I need to do. Not realizing that regardless of which choice he had made, something would have happened, somehow. It was not the day for a personal best. It wasn't going to happen. And when we try to force an issue, we're going against what reality is presenting us on the day. And it will present us with a no. It says no to us in one way or another. We're in a conversation with reality. And the answer is not always yes. Sometimes it's a no. And to our detriment, we sit and gnaw a bone and wonder what could have been, what might have been, what should have been. That is called reluctance. And every time you do that on a quantum level, given the fact that every single possibility spawns off into every single direction all the time, you are in this one, living this set of choices. And the more you worry about what could have been, what might have been, the more you're trying to peer around the coil of the rolled up hosepipe, the more you are diluting the energy, the presence of self. You're losing the concentration of your soul, and you're letting it fracture down every one of these maybe paths. And while you keep that regret alive, a version of you, a packet of you, a parcel of your life energy or quantum intentionality is caught up down that pathway, living a life that you're not living. The sooner we can let go of all of these things, and these are stories, they're all story. We've got a story for everything. We've got a story for why we're tired right now. We've got a story for why we hit a wall. We've got a story for why we didn't finish the project. We've always got a story. And it's always some version of guilt or shame or should have, could have, might have. If we just choose our actions from love, it doesn't matter what we choose, we don't step wrong. So obviously we need discernment. We need to tell the difference between fear and danger. We need to tell the difference between pain and injury, and we need to tell the difference between discomfort and oblivion. But we can't keep treating all fear like danger. We can't keep treating all pain like injury. We can't keep treating all discomfort as if it's completely unbearable. It's not. And what we'll find is the first thing that arises, it's easier to notice in an impulsive teenager, but it happens with everybody. The first thing that arises is a sensation, just an energy signature in the body, something, hunger, irritation, discomfort. It could be any number of things. And we notice it. I notice a bit of anxiety. Now, if I've had a problem with anxiety and I'm trying to heal myself of anxiety, as soon as I notice the anxiety, the story engine kicks into play and I start trying to figure out. There's 2 parts of my persona. They're called the protector and the judge. And they're trying to protect us from pain and make sure the world is fair. And when they fail, they become the critic and the victim. And these two form the polarities in the monkey mind or the chatter, because they're constantly trying to solve for problems so that we can avoid them in future, so that we can retcon the past, always in the service of trying to be helpful, trying to avoid. But they're overactive, and they are runaway processes, and they're not very good at discernment, and they've got no off switch. And so as a result, as soon as we feel a feeling, let's say I've been battling this anxiety, I don't remember that I chose to have an extra shot of caffeine in my coffee, or somebody may have put one in at the shop when I ordered it and I didn't even know. There's maybe a valid reason why I'm feeling the feeling of anxiety, and maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe it's just c'est la vie. This is what you get when you take a stimulant and subject it to the human nervous system. It's just cause and effect. There's no story here. There's no thing that you could have or should have done. Oh my God, should I not have drunk that wine last night? What was I doing? I knew I should have ended that conversation better with so-and-so. We are subsumed by this kind of story. So what happens is we notice the sensation, and the limbic system passes the signal on to the subconscious mind, and it interprets the sensation as soon as it becomes aware of it, and it produces a story, which the inner child and the animal latch onto. And that's when the drama and the panic and the recursive thinking begin. And what's happening, first of all, is we are unaware of what's happening inside our bodies. We are not consciously embodied in the present moment. We are not aware, number one. Number two, the limits of our language become the limits of our world. Sometimes we don't have a very good lexicon for what's happening inside us. We haven't really developed a good eye, a good sense of discernment, of familiarity, and objectivity. So there's practices that we can use, which I've taught you guys throughout this program. Interoception, just naming, affect labeling your emotions, and explaining to yourself and grading it between 1 to 5 objectively. Now, the first time you grade it, you won't get it bang on. But the third or fourth or fifth time, if you're struggling with anxiety or discomfort or distraction or whatever it is, you eventually start saying, oh, that wasn't a 5. That was a 3. This is a 5. And so you develop a sense of objectivity. When you are interocepting and giving language to all these feelings and giving them grades and valences, you also start noticing a sense of expansion, either in excitation or curiosity or moving towards, or you notice a sense of dilation, of contraction, either mellowing, chilling, stepping back, or retreating out of disengagement or fear or disinterest. And then you start noticing this other little signal, which is love or being, and non-being was contraction, constriction, moving away. And until we become aware of all of that, we are at the mercy of story. And the final thing is, what we need is a thing to entrain to, so that we are not constantly at the steering wheel with a pen and pencil, trying to figure out what we should have done, could have done, might have done, trying to fix our life, trying to find the discipline and the motivation to be more attentive, more mindful, more this, more that, more the next thing. We can only fit so much in a day. And we have these budgets, these spoons of conviction, of energy, of motivation, of goodwill, of patience. So the real question is, what are we going to entrain to be able to get this all working as expected? And the thing that I figured out is the lunar cycle. And this is how to use it. When we were talking about part 5 of the Alchemy program, receiving more to give more, this is really what we're trying to chase here for the short term. And I want to talk about this idea of grace and abundance, this idea of setting an intent and stepping back and letting nature take its course, and then getting the benefits from that in its own due time. And if we look at the 4 lunar seasons, the new moon, the waning moon, the full moon, the waxing moon, and then the new moon again, we can equate them to a winter, a spring, a summer, an autumn, and then winter again. And if we're clear about how to use each of these seasons and how to set little conscious ceremonies and practices and habits for these moments, this starts getting a lot easier. A lot easier. Seriously, a lot easier. Winter, for example, is the time when you let things go and you come to death and you let things die and you let the last season's efforts be the last season's efforts and you c'est la vie. There's no more you can do now. It's done. The last lunar month, I can't achieve any more for that month. I can't achieve any more. It's done. I can look at what I intended to do and some of the stuff didn't make it and done. But what I can do is I can choose where I want to invest my energy. I can choose where I want to comply and integrate and connect. I can choose where I want to withdraw and just walk away. I can choose what I want to stop, start, and keep. That's my retro. So that's when I do my retros. I do my retros at new moon. Because what I'm doing then is I'm setting an intention for how I'm going to handle myself in the next cycle. And then the spring comes. And what is spring about? Spring is about newborn giddy lambs. They run and play, and then they're all unsure on their feet, and then they tip over and they run to mummy. And then, but as soon as they get over that, they forget their sad feelings and they notice the other kids playing, and then they want to run off and then they fall over again. That is the season of spring. It's lots of novelty and excitement, but also lots of uncertainty and newness. And you're not on top of your game. For all the intentions that you had in the cycle, you're not a master of them yet, but you start figuring them out and you set goals. You set goals of what you want to work on, how you want to do it, how you want to improve your understanding. So that when full moon comes, high summer, a couple of things can happen. First of all, you hit your straps for that season, that lunar season, that 28 days. You know what it is you're doing now. You know what you've bitten off. You know what you want to execute, and you're right in the thick of it. But something happens in high summer that happened in farming cultures 1,000, 2,000 years ago. They knew by high summer, whatever you've planted by high summer, that's it. That's it now. There's no more you can throw at this now. The weeks are planned, they're numbered. Whatever you've planned to plant by now and next week and the week after, that's done now. You're not going to pull a rabbit out of a hat here. So the first celebration can take place because you can celebrate the part that says, man, I know that intentions turn to goals, goals turn to execution, execution turns into harvest, into results. So I know that as much as I've been able to throw myself at this summer, whatever I haven't been able to throw myself at, I need to stop fucking worrying and let it belong to next spring and next summer. I need to give myself permission to let things belong to their own season, to give them grace. Because I can't make the corn ripen any faster. I can't make the grapes ripen any faster. This is what it is now. But come the autumn, autumn is a second spring where every leaf is a flower. This is now when I can truly, truly, truly harvest the benefit, not just of the effort of this season, because I'm not just harvesting the corn and the wheat that I planted this season, I'm also harvesting the apples that I planted 5 years ago. There are long cycles of investment that I'm putting in that I can also will begin to ripen now slowly over time, because I had the grace to let them belong to their own season too, and just keep chipping away at them. And things ripen when they ripen. But the stuff that I can harvest in that autumn, that belongs to me. And it's really not the time to sit in retro what could have been, what might have been, what should have been, how much more effort you should have done, whether they were the right intentions. Fuck it. Let that belong to next intention setting, next goal setting. If your execution wasn't great, let that belong to next summer. If you spend too much time fretting and you realize almost when autumn is over, the waning moon, that you should have spent more time just celebrating what you did and resting and enjoying your benefits that you got, you don't even worry about that. You let the improvement of your harvesting mindset belong to next autumn as well. So in this way, we get this beautiful pendulum, tick-tock, 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 permanently on the go that we can entrain to. that is perfectly designed for the human psyche and the human physiognomy. We can track 4 weeks in a row, giving a different level of attention and intentionality and focus to each week. We can do this. This can be done. And what's better is it's easier because you are not trying to do it all every day, day in and day out. You're letting things belong to their own season. It's magic. It's a game changer. So that when winter comes, you take a look at the packet this last 4 weeks now. All right, it is what it is now. What have I learned? What have I learned? Because that's the real treasure, is what have I learned? What would I do differently if I had my time again? What would I start? What would I stop? What would I keep? I don't need to think like this all the time. I only need to think like that for 2 days, every 28 days. But for the rest of that week, I'm in the mode of letting go, being low, being small, being undone, facing my failures, grieving my lost time, grieving my projects that didn't work, grieving my relationships that didn't go as planned. Grieve them, but time box that grieving. So that part of your grieving, you are processing whatever was small and unconscious in you. You're processing it with love and consciousness so that the backswing of the pendulum can power the forward swing for the next cycle. Because you didn't worry about it all bloody month. You only worried about it when it was poignant, when it was intelligent. And then you took that learning and that intentionality and you asked yourself 3 questions. Where do I want to exert my power in my next 28 days? What are my musts? Where do I want to comply, integrate, go with the flow? Where do I want to put more work into integration, not pushing against what is? And the third question is, where do I want to withdraw? Where do I want to just c'est la vie, man? I don't want to get into this. It's not my monkey, not my circus. And the beauty of this is you don't have to sit and worry about what could have been, what might have been, what should have been. Because the difference between a good and a bad haircut is, for men at least, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. With our cycles, you can fuck up. You're a human being. You can make a mistake. You can say, oh, shit. Look, I set this intention and I set this goal. It turns out it was a bit of a waste of a month. It's okay, man. Because the lesson of what you would rather do with your time and your energy was worth it. You had 12 times to restart. 12 times. That's plenty time. You don't have to get everything right every single time. Just imagine that if there was a God, the reason that they put us here was experience. And if the destination is experience, every single way leads home. But you had to learn your way in your time. So let yourself learn and stop beating yourself up and just let it belong to the next season. And it's okay to have a dare, have courage, try something new, try something wild. Time will teach you. But then take the lesson with grace, because there's something else that's ripening inside of you slowly in its own time. And let that happen in its own time too. Stop trying to force things. Let them be when they are. Set your intentions. Set your short-term and your long-term intentions. It's okay to come from love and throw a bit of courage at this. It's okay to get things wrong. It's okay to find out slightly the hard way. Because those lessons are great gifts. Great, great, great gifts. So, now we come to it. Everything in its own time. Things are seasonal. The Alchemy program is about honoring the cycles and teaching us the value of lunar cadence. and how we can synchronize with that cadence to get the fulfillment and contentment that we really are looking for here. Everything in its own time. This is the meaning of grace. Everything in its own time. Patience and trust. That intentions set become goals. Goals set become actions and execution. And actions and execution yield results. And results, good or bad, bring lessons. And lessons can inform intentions. And so the snake will bite its own tail. And it continues eternally. But you are not going around in circles. You are climbing up in a spiral. And if we do this consciously, we are living in alignment with the way the universe actually works. And that's not spiritual junk food or pseudoscience or me making up some shit. This is actually the skillful way to live a human life. And that is entrainment with the harmony of nature. That is what Taoism means. And then if you are trying to practice your yoga and your meditation and things from this place of harmony, your journey is so much more rewarding, so much more rewarding. And if we can get past all of this incessant story, we can connect with the energy matrix of the body, because the true inheritance of the human experience is a highly evolved, highly conscious human. But we cannot do that by evolving the mind and leaving the body behind. We've got to bring the vehicle along for the ride. And unbeknown to us, the vehicle isn't just the dumb monkey we have to try and shoehorn into the divine purpose. Inside the body is this limitless connection to a universal energy matrix. I mean, this is also not pseudoscience. This is just how atoms and energy fields work. It just is. It's a fact. But the thing that is keeping us from tapping into that and harnessing that, one word: story. Story. We are not consciously embodied because we are so caught up in story. Projections from everyone outside telling us what good and bad is, what right and wrong is, how we should live. And we are letting people whose lives are not put together well tell us how to put ours together. In every way. The only right way to live your life is your own way. So, this is how we chase abundance in all things. We entrain to a seasonality. And there's a right time for setting intentions. There's a right time for when things are new and novelty and you don't know what you're doing. And there's a right time for leaning in and pushing hard and crushing it. But then there has to be a right time for reflecting on everything that you've earned and everything that you've reaped, and then harvest it and enjoy it. Enjoy it. That means there has to be a time of real letting go, of grieving, of becoming less, retreating from the world in a way, and alchemizing those lessons and turning them into wisdom. And so the cycle goes on, and that every human being can do. And the nice thing is, this way, you don't need to fix anything before you start. You fix it along the way. That's what the way is for. You make the way by walking the way. Now, abundance isn't just about money. It's abundance of attention, abundance of energy, abundance of time, abundance of prosperity. And we can engineer our prosperity by making investment in the right kind of connections. Because it's our community and our connections and our relationships that are our first and truest prosperity. Are we using our money to pay for the things that matter most to us, truly? And you know what? I've been practicing this, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I wasn't bumbling into this, but I didn't know how incredible this was going to turn out when I started it. And I didn't really know how I was going to use the lunar cycles. I'd spoken about entrainment before. I'd spoken about story before. I'd spoken about cycles before. But now that's all really coming together. And Dimna and Maya's life is changing. You cannot believe how much I'm getting done. And we're traveling to the States in August, September. And my client list is growing, and I'm being invited onto other podcasts, and I've rebuilt the website, and Dimna's crushing it with work and with Maya, and our relationship is better, and our lives are running easier. This shit works. It just works. But it's not discipline that we have to find inside of ourselves to make it work. It's not discipline. It's harmony with the flow. Letting things belong to their own seasons. All you need to follow the way is a human heart. You're allowed to want what you want. You're allowed to want what you want. And you're allowed to want that to change over time. And the self-permission to do that and the wisdom to align with the cadence to make this whole journey easier, that's smart. That's where the smart money is. And it becomes comparatively effortless. Really, this has become like, if I compare to the amount of effort I used to throw at the same outcomes before, it's just incomparable, because I don't spend, I know when to pull up stumps. I know when enough is enough. I know when, I missed this one. Next time. But I don't, the risk of saying to yourself, oh, don't worry, I'll get it next time, is that's the birth of laziness and complacence and apathy. But all I need to do is truly believe that the cycles work, and I'm not going to put it down and never pick it up again. I'm going to put it down until next season. And then I do. And then I pick it up. And then when I pick it up, I've got the energy for it. And I'm in the headspace to do this thing now, this part of the cycle now, because this is the time for it. It wasn't the time before, and it won't be the time after. And in the beginning, when you start, you'll start off treating, because we're not all aligned perfectly with spring, summer of the lunar calendar. We're all over the place. We're all out of sync. Pick one. So my advice is pick the actual lunar calendar. And it doesn't mean, oh, now I'm forever calibrated out. Start practicing that. You'll be like the fireflies that eventually you will come in. And it won't take more than 6 months. And it's worth it, because what else are you doing with your life? What else are we doing with our lives? Seriously, man. What are we doing here if we're not trying to kill it? We're trying to crush it. So fucking take a chance. Start in training now. Do the spring shit in spring, do the summer shit in summer, do the autumn shit in autumn, do the winter shit in winter. And you don't have to get it perfect, ever. You just do it, and you learn, and you do it again. And if you've got questions, ask. I'll tell you. And you'll figure shit out by yourself. And there's nothing like figuring stuff out by yourself. Because that's when you make it your own, when you understand, when you truly understand. I can just make that happen quicker, but you can still make that happen your way, however that looks. But the nonsense that we have to be getting it right, or the right time has to be there before we start, that's a nonsense. We're never ready. There's never we never have the right tools. We never have the right starting position. You can't choose the starting position or the tools that you have today, but you can choose the ones you're going to have tomorrow. And we can't choose these things. There's no such thing as the perfect place to start from, but there is the perfect time. Now's the perfect time. Always right now. All it takes is 3-4 months to figure this out and to start jogging along, and you slowly get entrained. And everything is hard in the beginning. That's why you practice. But we don't need to find discipline and motivation inside of ourselves. We just need to harmonize with the seasons. We want to move forward. That signal is inside us. You don't have to go hunting for it. There is a signal inside of you that wants to step forward into tomorrow. It's the signal of life, capital L. It got all of your ancestors here, and it will keep all the rest of us cracking on until eternity. It just is what it is. There's a quote by a friend of mine. It goes, you are who your ancestors sang about in their ceremonies. You are their revolutionary prayer. You are their sacred gift to the world. There's a long, long line of chaos and trauma and suffering and triumph and survival against absolutely astronomical odds for you to be here today. Stop worrying so much. Stop worrying so much about what it could have been, what might have been, what should have been. This is the hand you've been dealt. Just play it. And if you play it shit, don't worry. Next month, you get a fresh hand. Again and again and again. It's the same as every morning. Every single morning, you get to wake up and choose your mindset again and again and again and again and again and again. But you've got to be smart about these things. All right, folks, if there's no questions and you're all going to let that all sink in, I'm going to wrap it up. And thank you very much for your time. And thank you for making the effort to come and participate. It makes it so easy to engage with people online, and then everyone gets the benefit of this rich conversation. So
thanks, Rocco.
Take care, everyone. Rocco. Have a good week.
Sweet.
Thanks,
Until next
Rocco.
time.
Bye.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. That was the recorded call of the latest group lesson, group session for the Alchemy program I'm running. Usually it's more interactive. That one just happened to be in the format of a lesson, and that's why the participants encouraged I release it as a podcast episode. If you're interested in participating in the next round of the Alchemy program, email info@eyeswideopenlife.org or sign up to the mailing list. Subscribers will get notified when the next Alchemy program is kicking off, and you'll also qualify for discounts for participation. Another final reminder, we've just recently done the Quorum Aletheia event. When this episode goes to air, that would have already happened, the one with Sarah Alcaldi. If you want to be notified about such events, please sign up for the mailing list and you'll qualify for discounts for these and similar courses and events. Again, I'm taking on clients. To be clear, I'm not a therapist or a coach. I can recommend some good therapists or coaches, but I am the person that coaches come to and mentors come to. I'm going to play another audio clip, as I said, from one of my recent clients, and you can hear directly from them what insights and impact working with me has had in their lives, and you can hear about it in their own words. So I'm going to keep sharing these things week on week. These people are not actors, and the exercise of speaking about their private lives and struggles can't be easy. So the audio is never perfect production quality, but I think the endorsements really speak for themselves. This next person asked me not to share their name, but I'll share the recording.
Rocco Jarman. How do I even explain what this man offers? Rocco teaches you how to grow up. Before I met Rocco, life sometimes hits you with some major things that just break you. And that had happened to me. And I went to therapy. I found a wonderful therapist. She was highly trained. She was great. And I saw her every week for over a year. And she legitimately helped me. I can't discount that. But it was a spoon feeding, and it took a lot of time and a lot of money. And later, when I was just so lucky to find Rocco, when I finally started to actually listen to him, let me tell you, he cuts to the chase. He does not waste your time. What Rocco does is he moves you to a place of discomfort, but it's a very constructive discomfort. I wouldn't say that it is painful, although if it ever is painful, I can tell you it's because you are not letting go. You're not letting go and letting love in a way that will allow you to level up, to upgrade your life to the place that you're meant to be. And that is what Rocco will help you do. Upgrade your life to help you become the person that you were always meant to be. So if you are looking to upgrade, to become who you were always meant to be, that you know you were meant to be. I mean, can you even put a price on that? Like, I would pay every penny I have for that. We have at best maybe 4,000 weeks total in our life. Like, why waste another week living a less than life, a life that is less than what it could be? Secrets of the universe. that's what Rocco will help you find. He's got them, and it's actually some tools that are quite simple. Rocco knows. That's all I can say.
Thank you for being part of the Eyes Wide Open Life journey. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. It really does help, and I'm very eager to get this podcast out to a wider audience. If there's something that you want to share or discuss, if there are things you want to hear me talk about more or less, if you don't let me know, I won't know. So please write in info@eyeswideopenlife.org. I do enjoy hearing from you, and I definitely want to interact more with listeners. So until next time, keep living that eyes wide open life and take care.